Hi there, so today I'm going to talk about the Buckminster Fuller Dymaxion Atlas and how I interpreted it as an installation for the Fab Lab London. So this is the entrance foyer to Fab Lab London, and by the way, if you're in London you should drop by. Fridays are open days. Excuse me, today I have a bit of a cold, but I want to get this recording done today, so that's if I keep breathing in, that's because I've got a bit of a cold. Anyway, so this is the foyer, and in the Fab Lab they have meetings here on these chairs, and clients and people interested in the Fab Lab come and see all these 3D printed plastic and all the cool stuff you can do in the Fab Lab, and that's their office as well, the managers, Andy and Tony. So they wanted something on this wall that would display all the Fab Labs, or the main Fab Labs around the world, and obviously it was going to be an atlas. So this is what I proposed to them. So this atlas is from a flat image, and it's by somebody that you should look into if you don't know. It's Buckminster Fuller. So Buckminster Fuller did the geodesic dome, and he also came up with loads of other inventions. He might have had adventures, but these are inventions. And this map is on its side, and the reason why is because I think he claimed that it reduced distortion, but also the fact that the continents are put on their side, it makes us look at the world in a new way, almost like an alien coming to what he called spaceship Earth. Let's go on to the next one. So this is a really bad visualization done in 3ds Max. It took about 10 minutes. Again, it was to show them that what it might look like. And the final result is obviously bigger. They weren't really sure about it, and I had to kind of stick to my guns. Sometimes you have to do that when you're doing art and design. If you believe in something and you've got a client, you should say, hey, look, this is going to work, let's do it. And if they say yes, that's good. And if they say no, you've got two options. You can either keep persuading them or have to accept. Or you could say no and have a tantrum and run away. So let's go to the next one. By the way, it says London and Boston here because Boston is where the Fab Lab movement comes from. And this is how I measured it out. So I got the height, and I worked out what the entire length of it would be. I used masking tape, pencils on the wall. These 4 areas decides where it's going to be. And then this is it built up with the masking tape, and the crosses where the intersections are. And again, so in this cross here, I made sure I marked with pencil where the intersection was, and then I kind of ripped that off and made sure exactly where that cross was. I put a cross there, and then used a drill, and then here's a nice wall plug, plaster wall plug going in. Plasterboard fixing, and that's the shape of it before it's in the wall, and here are the accompanying screws. And here's the 3D component I actually designed and printed for the wall strips. And here it is. So this is 15mm wide, and if you're doing instructable, this model is with the instructable. There it is on the wall. It looks kind of rubbishy with this, but that was a solution to that. There's another one on the wall with the line slightly off, but I could kind of adjust that by what I did. I think the rest of the lines were okay, but this one was slightly off. So what I did is cheat and just drilled a hole higher up on that one and brought it down. And here is the disc, and unfortunately this has some distortion because I took it off too early on the heating plate. And by the way, I missed out how to actually get the pattern of the wall up, like so here. But you can see that on the instructables how I did that. It was very unmathematical. I'm an artist, kind of, then a designer, then after that maths is quite low down. So that's the final one. and luckily it looked good at that stage. There was nothing squint. It was very stressful drilling holes into walls in the Fab Lab office. They gave me the trust that I would be able to do this, and luckily it was okay so far. It's just a few more bits there to finish off. So then it was time for the continents. So from an image of the continent, we took it, well, I took it to Corel Draw. You can do it in Inkscape, and it draws a red line around the perimeter. So this red line's then, those of you know, transported to a laser cutter. The laser cutter in the Fab Lab was too small. This laser cutter is huge. Many of you probably never used one as big as this. Was Trotec in Guildford. And it was quite exciting going out to their center and seeing these huge, not huge Fab Labs, I was going to say, huge laser cutters. And this is the USA, Canada, and Mexico. So I saw all the places I've stayed and visited in the USA and Canada and Mexico, and it's quite fascinating. Always fascinating seeing the laser cutting, but even more so I think when it's cutting countries, because you can kind of go on a journey with the line. That's what I think anyway. So this is how we attach the continents. So I made these magnet pods, and these house magnets stacked on top of each other. I think there's 3 of these round 10mm magnets. And to get the positions of these, the wall plugs are drilled, not ignore this, but the wall plugs have screws coming out, and then I put paint on the screws, stuck the continents onto that very carefully, lifted them off, and where these are now, there was black paint, and then I just glued them down there. But then that magnetic solution was very, very good, and that was by somebody in the Fab Lab called Martin, who came up with the solution. I was stressing because I was only about 4 days until I had to leave for Scotland, and this was a really, really good design solution because I really didn't have an idea about specifically how to do that. But fortunately that held it up fairly well, but unfortunately not quite. It was just slipping off. So what one of the managers, Andy, suggested is to make sleeves. So he found this stuff in the Fab Lab, which is insulation tubing. It kind of really gives off a bad smell when you cut it. And then we had this, and then we printed out a sleeve. So I designed a sleeve and 3D printed it, put it over that, and then that sleeve, that hole went into the magnet holder. And luckily that held all the countries up in a good way, so none of them would fall off. Here we are building up, here I am building up this up. As a respite, as a break from that, I made these Dymaxion Cars in 3ds Max. These are Buckminster Fuller's idea of a flying car. I don't think it's his best invention, but they look cool and retro, etc. And I stuck them on the strips. So in a way, it's quite arty. The strips perhaps could resemble flight paths of the world. So these cars are all going around the flight paths. And you can see this disc here hides that nasty screw bit, because that really is a bad look when you've got the map all set up. These screws kind of get on your nerves, and shine in your eyes. Don't look, it's not like a nice hole. So these very thin discs go on the top, and I use this stuff, which is Sugru, which is really useful to stick it. Sugru is great. Check it out. It turns into rubber. You can mend stuff with it. There's the Fab Lab, not the Fab Lab. There's the contents all finished with most of the discs screwed on. There's a nice step ladder there, and there's a screwdriver there as well that I kept leaving on the settee, much to the annoyance of the managers when they had meetings going on. There you go. And then here's the Fab Lab. Here's the Fab Lab window, one of the windows on Old Jewelry Lane. If you pass it, you can see the Fab Lab, the Atlas and the Fab Lab, and you can actually see the Atlas through the window. So this is where many business people stand outside and do drinking, smoking, because there's a nice pub nearby, and some of them can see this, so it'd be quite nice because they can see the lights and the world from outside. So that's like interior going into exterior. That's quite an interesting thing. You were in an architectural concept. Okay. And then this is the Arduino setup. The idea is to have each Arduino on a continent with this electrical tape to hold down the LEDs. There's holes, not hills, holes drilled into where the LEDs are placed in the main cities, and then it glows. It's a simple solution. In the future, I hope to have sensors, so when you go nearer each continent, the lights react, so they might get brighter, they might change color. That was done by Frank, the Arduino idea and the programming, so thanks Frank, who now works at the moment in the London Fab Lab. He's actually been to the Fab Academy, which is pretty amazing. It's a cool course. So here's the lights on the walls, that's good, and the lights actually gave a nice back glow that was unexpected. So it's nice when things like that happen, when you're doing art and installations, you discover things. It's not just a complete design that you know what's going to happen at the start, you discover things on the way. And that's it all set up there. One lead at the moment. Each continent's going to have, well, each Arduino one, and perhaps a good solution I'm going to try and think of is actually to just have them all joining up to one power source rather than lots of nasty leads coming out. And then there's again the glow effect on behind. That's the lights of America. There's some more lights here, so don't worry, there's more holes going in, but this is just as it is at the moment. And then that's me, and I think it was Friday night, ready to get the train, the sleeper bus. Actually, it's a bus you can actually sleep on. It's not one you sit on a seat, you actually lie down, back to Edinburgh, back to Scotland. And I nearly forgot my suitcase and left it there, which would have been pretty bad, but I remembered it in the end. So here's the final result. If you've got any questions in the comments, please let me know. If you want to try to do this, you're welcome to talk to me first, and also check out the instructables of this on Instructables. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll make some more YouTube stuff soon, so be sure to sign on to my channel or check out my website, jamesableart.com. Okay, bye for now. Cheers.